This is a video that I was not planning, but a recent experience showed me that it was time to check in with my inner child. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Elizabeth and I share tech flip throughs, spreads, VRs, and so much more. Today I want to talk about triggers. I recently got back from a trip to Puerto Rico and I had an amazing time. I got to relax and I did a lot of journaling and really slowed things down. Had a lot of great food, a lot of time with family, and I got to visit all of my favorite places. But I had an experience on this trip that triggered my inner child, and I wanted to share what I did about it. Now, before I get into it, I want to emphasize that this isn't about pointing fingers at all. It's about owning our triggers and learning to recognize old patterns and not falling back into old habits. Instead, choosing healing, even when it's awkward or uncomfortable. So, if you've ever felt like your emotions were, quote unquote, too much, or your voice was quieted, right, in the process, I invite you to sit with me in this space and let's get into it. I have some cards laid out here, and you'll see there's a bit of a theme, right? So here I have spell for healing and spell for breaking cycles, as well as a healing card and a card for change. So I'm using the word sisters and the vessel oracle for this. And this is mostly because I want you to have something to look at while I'm sharing. I'm gonna share just a bit of information just to kind of set the scene. And basically, I found myself in a situation that was familiar to me, right? Tension, misunderstanding, and a sense of being dismissed when I was trying to do something simple. I found myself feeling misunderstood and my inner child wanted to be quiet and polite and accommodating. My inner teen wanted to fight back. And uh, the me of today wanted to be seen and heard and respected. But I recognized something important, and that was that I wasn't the only one that was triggered. My dad was triggered too. And we weren't just two people having a disagreement, we were each stepping into our own archetypes. Now, let me get these out of the way and I will explain more about what I mean. I pulled some cards from my Reclaim Oracle because this is where I go to time and time again to help me put my thoughts and feelings into words. So I pulled the card Change because I recognize that I am constantly changing through experiences and different situations. As time goes on, I become a different person. And I also pulled this card here, Respect, because I've gotten to a point in my life where I've worked hard to put boundaries into place, and I want to be seen and I want to be respected. Now over here, I'm going to add my inner child, seeking validation always, right? Wanting to be seen and recognized and told, you know, you've done well, Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. And I pulled a card here for my inner teen, frustration. At all the times that I haven't been seen or heard or respected. I feel a bit like the reclaimed mystic, rooted in self awareness and trying to navigate the moment with as much grace as possible, even when the situation started to get a little bit messy. And then we have my dad. I would say that he is the wounded patriarch. So I chose the Emperor card from Tarot of Aphrodite because the energy that this card exudes very much reminds me of him at times. And then from the Reclaim, I chose Control because at the end of the day, he's just trying to hold on to anything at all that feels familiar. In him, I see that there's a part of him that needs to feel needed, to feel respected and in control. And I'm not saying that to vilify him at all because I adore him at the end of the day. I say it because putting a name to it helps me. It helps me understand what was happening in that moment. And it's bigger than two people having a misunderstanding. It's more like a collision between the old stories and then the new truths, right? And when you're the one that's breaking those generational patterns, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it also means that I'm evolving. Hence this card here. So being triggered doesn't mean that we've failed. It just means that there's a part of us that needs tending, right? A wound that's asking for care. What do we do when the past shows up and it's obviously uninvited, but it's here? Well, we reflect, we feel. And for me, I like to turn to the tarot. So today, I'm going to be sharing a spread that I created. I'm calling this From Trigger to Truth. And it's a way that I can gently check in with my inner child and receive guidance on how to move forward with love and with integrity. So let's jump in. Today I'm going to be using my Mermaid Tarot. I used this for shorts recently, and it's a deck that I've been trying to do a little bit more work with because sometimes I'm on the fence about it. So I thought I'd use it today. I think the energy is perfect. This deck has a little bit of those, Little Mermaid vibes, and Little Mermaid struggled with a lot of these same challenges. I thought it would be perfect. Now, while I shuffle, let me talk a little bit about, the archetype, right? So we have the wounded patriarch. This would be a person who clings to control, fears irrelevance, maybe becomes reactive when they're not acknowledged, shows up through overcompensating gestures or subtle emotional manipulation. And then we have the reclaimed mystic. This is an archetype that is rooted in intuition and emotional truth, reclaims their voice after silence, and seeks to alchemize pain into wisdom. And at times, they may revert to the rebel child when overwhelmed. And then we have the inner child. always seeking safety and belonging, and this, need to be heard without feeling shame. And they appear when you feel small, when you feel dismissed, or even emotionally flooded. And I want to talk about one more, which I think is very important, and that is the inner parent. The inner parent is an archetype that you have to call in, right? Uh, this brings an energy of calm, grounded, it's discerning, it offers compassion without self abandonment, and it holds space for growth without judgment. So we are going to be pulling 5 cards today. We have the first one. What is the inner child experiencing right now? We have the hangman. Okay. And then what wound did this situation stir? Ooh. The emperor. Holy cow. Okay. Starting out strong. What archetype was I embodying during this experience? What archetype was I embodying during this experience? Ooh, 8 of Cups. Oh my gosh. What archetype was he embodying? What archetype was he embodying? Ooh, come on, spirit, help me out. Okay. 2 of Pentacles. Interesting. Okay. And lastly, what energy can I call in to return me to my center? What energy can I call in to help return me to my center? Okay. Ooh. Oh, wow. The Fool. I mean, wow, wow. So I'm going to set this aside. Let me just kind of shimmy the cards over just a little. There, hopefully you can see them. Okay. So right away, of course, I want to take a few moments to sit and reflect, but right away, I cannot help but feel how big this energy in this reading is. We have 3 major arcanas here. So let's take it one card at a time. So for the first question, what is my inner child feeling right now? We have the Hangman. This particular card gives me a sense of feeling stuck, feeling trapped, and it's difficult to figure out what to do or how to get out of this mess. And that resonates for me because in the moment of a disagreement, after you have done so much internal work to get um, to a certain place in your life, when you find yourself back, going back in time, that doesn't feel good. And you do have that moment where you're just kind of stuck there, trying to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to handle it and how you're going to move forward from this. So, this Hangman card makes a lot of sense for me. And then we have, what wound did this situation stir within me? And of course, it does not shock me to see the Emperor here. The Emperor is my birth card. Uh, I would definitely say, with the archetype of the wounded patriarch, that I do view my father in this energy. Although I would say I would view him in reverse. I would view him in reverse. Unfortunately, a product of his upbringing and his past, and one that he's learning to work through as well. I do find that every time that my inner child is triggered, there is a bit of healing, not just for me, but for him. And I do find that he listens, which is something that didn't happen in past. So I really love that. I love that about him. I love that he listens, and tries to take it into account and tries to do better the next time, because that's what I do too, right? We're not perfect beings. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes. There are things that, I could have done differently, that he could have said differently, and vice versa. Uh, and just the fact that we both take things into consideration and try to learn and grow for them shows that we are evolving, which, what else can you ask for? So I love to see this Emperor card here. Yes, it did trigger this Emperor energy for me, uh, in a lot of different ways. Not just because this was how I was brought up, but also for me, the need to have boundaries in place, the need to command, take control of the situation before things got out of hand, uh, and also having the leadership and the maturity to know when to step back and allow for space, right? That's a big part for me of that Emperor energy as well. It's not just about having power, but about how you wield it. And then card number 3. What archetype was I embodying during this experience? 8 of Cups. You know, and this couldn't be more perfect. Trying to leave behind the way that it used to be because I am wanting to embrace the way that it is now, right? I have gone through a series of changes. You know, I shared this card earlier. This is a progression, and throughout this change, there is healing that takes place. And every time you heal something, you grow just a little bit. And so I love this card here, and I love this representation because this here is probably comfortable. Even though it might feel awkward and uncomfortable, it's what she was used to. And even still, she's choosing to walk away and head towards that moon. And that moon is highlighting things that a lot of times we don't want to see. So for me, this resonates quite strongly. I definitely feel like this card is perfect for this question. And then we have, what archetype was he embodying? We have the Two of Pentacles. And for this card, I'm happy to see a playful figure. We have the bunny, we have the two kids watching, and the bunny is balancing, I think, on a fish. Let me take a closer look. Yeah, balancing on a fish. And I love this because I feel like this kind of brings me back to that inner child, not just for me, but for him, the younger version of himself. And, at the end of the day, all he was trying to do was balance responsibilities, balance life, balance being a father, balance showing an emotion called love that was never shown to him in past. Like, there's a lot going on here. And at the end of the day, he did the best that he possibly could with what he had, and it was a balancing act. Sometimes we drop the ball, but the important thing is that he always picked it up again. so, so yeah, I definitely feel that Two of Pentacles vibe there, that Two of Pentacles energy, and I love that this is a card of Earth because it speaks to the mundane, right? balancing obligations, balancing being a husband, balancing being a father, balancing being himself, not losing himself in the process. There was a lot. There's a lot going on. And as we get older and we reflect on our choices and the mistakes, the error of our ways and how we could have done things differently, I could see that that balance comes back into play. And it could be a bit of a struggle for him, right? To realize that he is losing a little bit of that influence that he felt he had over my life. I still go to him for thoughts and ideas and opinions on how to do things. So he's very much an influencer in my life. But this kind of speaks to that feeling like maybe you're losing a little bit of that, right? So I can totally comprehend what that feels like as a parent myself. As my own kids get older, I sometimes feel like they don't listen to me the way that they used to, or my word doesn't carry as much weight as it used to. They want to do things their own way, try things their own way. And sometimes I feel like, but I've done that before. Let me tell you that it's easier if you do this. That doesn't always work. You know why? Because people have to learn from their own experiences. So I see a lot of that stemming from this card here. And then the final card. What energy can I call in to return me to my center? And we have the Fool. The Fool is about having faith. When every logical part of your mind tells you, no, you shouldn't, right? It's about taking a bit of a risk. It's about trusting in the universe. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? Trying something new and something different. And I feel like that's very helpful for me at this time because this method of communication between he and I, that's something very new for me. It would have been very easy for me to silence and nod my head yes and let it go and sweep it under the rug and pretend like everything was okay. That would have been comfortable, right? That would have been me here, staying in my comfort zone, right? This character here is doing something audacious, something bold, something exciting, challenging the Father. I want to do this. I want to step out into the world with my own legs. And the Father wanted to protect her. The Father wanted to protect her, but she wanted to step out on her own. And I see a lot of that reflected in this scenario, in this situation. There's so much to be learned. I'm feeling so good right now. I feel like I only wish that I was still there so I could show him show him this. He shows so much curiosity and interest in my tarot and how I use it in my life. So I would have loved to have been able to share this with him. Love the spread, love the cards that have come out for me, and overall feeling really, really good. If this video has resonated with you in any way, please know that you are not alone. Okay, the healing journey isn't always a natural progression, right? From like A to Z. It doesn't work that way. It's not linear, and you don't have to be perfect, right? There's times that you feel like you've healed different aspects of self only to find yourself triggered and realize that there's still a little bit of work left to be done. That is okay. I would love to hear in the comments what helps you support your inner child when things feel raw. And if you feel called, maybe you might find yourself pulling cards and journaling on them. I will go ahead and put the questions in the description box in case you would like to do this for yourself. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for holding space. And I will see you next time. Bye.